Hi, hope you're well. I want to talk about a mistake that I did when it comes to naming products. In the previous video, I talked about the issues with a brand name. In this one, I'm going to touch on the product names because over the years, as the company evolved, we've been using something very simple like S1 for the Series 1, S2 for the Series 2, but eventually what happened is that because we had the capability to create another product line, which was basically aesthetically, acoustically, technologically very similar, almost the same as the S4, we just labeled it S4R, and the R stands for recording headphone, so a closed back headphone, like slightly different product. I didn't want to have this confusion, of two very different lines, when in reality it was basically the same product with just minor adjustments. And that was the biggest mistake that I did, because when it comes to evolution of products, and we eventually made the S5X or the S5 series, we didn't know what to really call it because it was so much different, and then the S4R just kind of lived in a bubble. So it created a lot of friction in terms of understanding what the product line is, and whenever you confuse a customer, it's likely that you're gonna lose the customer. So now, years after all of that, I had to rebuild the naming structure of the products, and really I just went with the X1 for the mixing and the R1 for the recording. So going forward from here, we have two very distinct lines of products, one for recording, one for mixing, and the mixing one is just going to get another number similar to what Samsung is doing with their Galaxy phones. It's S21, S22, S23, S26, whatever it is at the moment. So it's very clear on what is the latest edition of the product in a product line, and I think that that's super important to think about ahead of time, but it's very, very much connected with the roadmap. So when you're thinking about a roadmap, also keep in mind the naming structure of the product, or vice versa. So when you're naming, think about what is the product roadmap looking like in the future. What are the next products that we're gonna do, and how are we gonna make distinctions about them. Now, if you do have like just a small change in the product and you don't think it as a full-blown different product line, then you should use simple words to be alongside it. Like, for example, the Ola headphones S4 Lite, or basic, or premium, or professional, or luxury, or something like that. So you kind of distinctively explain what the differences are between the little subsets of the product within a product line, but don't make the confusion of using the S4, for example, in our case, with a different product line, which was the S4R. In reality, it should be called R1 or R4 or whatever, so that it would stay distinct and clear. So that is my take on this. Try to avoid it. Please don't use product codes like the Sony is doing. I understand they have a massive product line, but still, a code of numbers and a string of words or whatever, that means absolutely nothing. It's literally a code, a barcode for a product. That's really, really unfriendly to potential buyers. So try to avoid that. So the cost of not having that sorted out in the early days is confusing the customers, explaining this again and again over support. Confused customers may not buy anything because they don't understand the differences anymore, so they will opt out for a different product, and eventually you will have to fix it. And when you go down this path of fixing that, you have a branding cost associated with that. So yeah, be smart about naming products. Bye.